Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday, it's September the 30th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and um, this will actually be the last day of the trading month, so we'll start a new month tomorrow. It's been a pretty good month. We've had some pretty good movement again. The last couple of days, the volume seems to have picked up. I don't know if it just feels that way to me, but it seems like we've had a lot more bars the last couple of days, so I think the volume's picked up a little bit just looking at it. Um, but in the big scheme of things today, we spent we really spent the whole trading day within a trading range. Early on, I was looking at this as the midpoint, but this just turns out to be the low and the high. We spiked up. We went into a two-tiered channel, found resistance around this 1900, 1903 to 1905 area, and got a break of that two-tiered um, channel there, and then later we moved to a new high and backed off of that later. So really you just needed the shorter term trend lines and trend channels. This was a spike up in a two-tiered channel as well. Um, but for the most part, you just had to look at this like a trading range day. Although the range was big enough that you had room for a trend both ways. You trended up, down, back up, and we actually broke higher here. But yeah, I'd call this pretty much just a range kind of day. But let's back out, talk about the trades, and wrap this up for the day. But you can see that spike up. There's a shorter term trend, shorter term right there. There's also this shorter term. And notice we had the break of that and a move to a new high. And then we had a big two-legged correction that lasted. Let's just see how long it lasted. I'm sure it's over an hour, 1841 to, or I'm sorry, 840, a little bit. Let's say we made the high on that bar, 841 to 906. So yeah, not really an hour, quite an hour, but you got a two-legged correction, and you can probably still call all of this across here part of the correction. Um, and then we bumped up to a new high and then sold off. So, but anyway, several different ways you could see it shorter term. Um, I liked playing it with the spike and the two-tiered channel here. That gave you the best setups really. It gave you a couple of pretty good setups actually. It looks like we really kind of had a break here. It's real iffy, but there is a close outside right there and then a move to a new high and it sold off. But even if you don't consider that, we still sold down and came back and made a new high before the day was over. So it didn't matter how you saw it. Sometimes you can see something this close and you don't know if it's really a break or not, or if you just need to adjust your trend line a little bit. It may just mean that I need to adjust those lines slightly. So it's just so close it's really hard to tell. But anyway, let's talk about the first trade. The first trade I saw, um, it was actually tempting to enter right here. There's actually a short-term trend line coming down through there, and you got a break at a new low. Um, you really could probably make this one a green circle. I'll go ahead and make it green. Um, it's a little bit aggressive, but when you're working down like this, you almost want to wait on a second entry, and that's why that one's circled as blue. But let's go ahead and give this one a green one because I like this setup, to be honest with you. It is a little bit more aggressive. But notice that we had that low and it tries to go lower and then turns up and gives you like a bullish kind of reversal bar. That's a good sign that they're probably going to trap some people there. Um, so if you want to be a little more aggressive, but the safer trade is to wait on it to tick lower again and give you a second entry counting off that low. And that's a nice bullish type bar too. And this one takes off. If you just caught that one trade, that's a really nice setup right there. And you get multiple points off that one trade. And then it makes a new high. And that actually gives you the new high for this channel working up, so you expect a correction there. And you pretty much get a two-legged correction. There's one leg down, and then a little pullback, and then another leg down. And this leg's got multiple legs. This one was real simple to see, and then this one's got multiple swings in it. So I like this. Let me make this slightly bigger here. But notice we're headed higher here. We pull back. We get a first entry. We pull back, and we get a second entry. You can't see this really good because of these. Let me move them. You get a second entry long right here. And it's not a very good setup, especially considering if you're looking at this channel. And we really hadn't confirmed this other one yet, even though you can see you should have drawn that line there and drug it down. You would expect prices to be coming back that direction. You don't know for sure if this two-tiered channel is going to be any good yet. But you got this. Look how this just went right through the EMA. Comes back, it tries to bounce, but it's just not a good, and then you draw that trend line off those two swings, and so when it touches again, you did get a little bit of a close outside there, but this could be a little flatter. I think it looks best the way it's drawn here. The prices fit, and you get a little break and a move to a new low, and then it reverses. But anyway, back to the trade. The first one I saw was this failed second entry long that runs right across, right across where you're getting all this resistance, and this is lower too, and it makes that one tick higher than that little double. You don't want to go long there for sure. So when it turns down, I like going short. You probably want to wait on this bar. If you do wait on that bar, it really never broke lower, but I like just going short right there and maybe thinking about a limit order, a tick or so. Maybe right at the bottom, maybe a tick back in, but you could have got filled a couple of ticks back into this bar. And then there's a little bit of a congestion there when this closes like this though. So if you didn't get in here, this is like a little breakout pullback short. But I liked, if you were already in here, I liked adding on here because you wouldn't have got out of this one yet. That's one of those that I like to add on. But this is a failed second entry short, so you don't have to have a real strong signal bar. You can have a bullish signal bar because it's going to catch people off guard. The other way I would have liked entering if it would have broke below this bar. It's coming back here and dropping a limit order where you had it before. But like I said, because of the trap, you could go ahead and enter that one regardless. Well, let me just hold off there. And then this one pulls back and ticks higher again and still continues to respect that trend line and turns back down. So I like going short right there. Like I said, adding on if you're not already short. And that gives you a double load right there, depending on, how many you trade or whatever. But then guess where it finds resistance? Right here where you would kind of expect it off this trend line. Coming up through there. It bounces, and that kind of confirms the trend line. You don't get a good setup there, but when it pulls back and you get that little tick lower and it turns up, now look how it closes inside. So now you've got to feel real good about that being a short trap there, and look at it take off. Quick, easy move. That's what you want to see. And where is it? Right off that key entry point, those first couple of swings right there. Takes off, pulls back. It gives you, and this is like a breakout pullback long. This is actually your signal bar right here. And what I would do on this one is wait on a break higher, and I may even try to sneak in a tick back into this bar right at the low. But you could have used a stop right above that bar if you wanted. It's not a perfect bar, so I would try to get a little bit of a little better entry than that, just in case. But there's still room to get out before you get up here, and that's exactly where it goes before it turns down. So either way you entered that, it works. And then also, then you get another. Notice the new high here, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. This one you don't get a very good signal bar. You don't get back to the key entry point. But what you got to look at is that this is kind of a little trading range. You got highs across here. I don't have these lines on here. Let me put it on here just so it looks a little more. Notice those highs across there, and notice those lows right across there. I'll probably draw them like that. And notice how it kind of gapped over there. It did back up and fill the gap, but it did gap over there, and that's pretty common. And but I treated this like a failed break lower um, out of this trading range, and also as a breakout pullback second entry long. So there's a couple of different reasons, because this, look how bearish that is. That is so tempting to get short right there. But you got this bigger uptrend working, and you don't want to be getting short there. You just got to be patient and wait on it to come back. Um, because now you've got, once you bounced here, you had to give up on shorts um, until you got something a little bit more. Even though it's a big bar, you don't want to enter that close to this support right here. If this support wasn't running across here, I'd probably be okay with that one, because we do have something similar up here, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But when you get in here, this is just a failed break out of this trading range, and you got enough room to get out before you get back down here. It turns out we just keep on going. Um, but I don't like entering that one. The bar's too big. Um, it's inside the trading range. You got to enter right into the support. There's several different reasons I don't like entering that one. And we're still looking for maybe another push up as well. So we already had our new high here in place, but because of all of that trading range across there, that's why you don't want to be getting short right down in here. That's the main reason. So you got to get short higher. And it's tempting to enter here, but what you have to do is wait on the trap, because you don't know that this thing's through going up, and that's why I don't mark the second entry here. Even though you could treat this like a failed break higher, and that's a kind of a bearish reversal bar, you just don't want to go short into that because it could bounce off this previous resistance and act like support and take off higher. But when it makes the lower high here and gives you this big bearish bar, I like going short right there. Um, you could have used a limit order, but I'm okay just using the stop there, because we're probably coming back down to test these lows, maybe this support area right here. Either way, you got enough room. And it turns out this one just kind of takes off. Um, and you get that trend line right off those first couple of swings there. I originally had this a little bit lower, and it still works right there either way. Um, you can see it, in fact, moving a little bit more with a little more price action now from when I originally put it up there. I like it even better there, but it's okay right here either way. I don't think you had a break yet until either here or here, but doesn't really matter. We're working down, and this is a second entry short. Notice the new low, pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry. And what happened here on my chart was it went higher and then turned and went out that low. Just go short right there. Um, and you might have considered using a limit order, trying to get a little tick or so back in, and you could have, but you would have been out before it pulled back, and then it takes off again. Um, just took this one a minute to get going. Then it comes back, and notice how it tests this. This was the former. This is the resistance area from the range, and it had tried to act like support, and it couldn't. And now it's just continuing to act like resistance. And then it makes that one tick higher than this right here and turns down instantly and closes very bearish. I like going short right there. And boom, that one trade is off to the races. And then it pulls back, and you get another big bearish bar right off the key entry point there. Big bearish bar. You probably wouldn't have got filled on a limit order if you dropped it back here where you did. I wouldn't be beyond trying that. I think that's a great idea. But this is really your signal bar right here. And as bearish as that is, with prices headed lower within this range, you figure we're probably heading to here, but it looks like we've already had a break here, so it's questionable. But you figure you're going to at least get a measured move on that. That's your first leg down after your break. So from there, I would look for a measured move at a minimum. And of course, the midpoint on the range was way down here, but you would have had that early this morning, so that's definitely there. And guess where it bounces? Right at that midpoint. So this would have at least given you a target of down to here. So I like that one hanging on, and then you make a new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. This one for sure, I would. That's not a very good. It's more of a neutral. That's actually more neutral, bullish neutral. It leads more to the bullish side. So you got to be real careful. You can't really enter below that one. This was actually the signal bar here, and I would wait on a break below that one and put my limit order where it goes. You would have got filled when it came back here. So just want to make sure I explain that one because that's not a good enough signal bar to enter below. It's it's got kind of a bullish slant, but that is a key entry point. And notice how that one keys right off that same line. And then it pulls back and makes a little trap and turns down again. I like adding on there or entering there either way, whichever you want to do. If you didn't enter here, and there's some reasons not to enter there yet based on what I talked about a minute ago. But here's kind of your trend line working up right like that. And notice how it gapped over there. That's always a good sign if you see that gap that you've drawn it right. And we did have a break, 2 legs up, and it sells off. So that was another reason I like selling there. And then when it turned back up, kissed the EMA and turned down, just go short right there. And this thing's off to the races. I was a little surprised that it pushed on through right there. It kind of pushed through a little bit earlier, but when that dropped on down, so we got right on down there. A lot of times it'll have to come back and make one more trip down, but it didn't. It made that low and then it reversed. Um, Notice you're working up. You get a first entry, and notice how you go right on through the EMA, and it tries to turn down, and this is like right off that line. Um, this is a congestion area, so but the way I treated this one's real close to being green, but let me explain to you. Look how bullish that is and how it goes right through the EMA, and it tries to go back once, it pulls up, it tries to go back again. Um, I treated that like a failed second entry short because we basically got 2 legs up. And if you went to a smaller chart, you would probably see a break below there. So again, this one is real close to being, you could probably make this green. It's a little bit aggressive because that is congestion right there. But if you treat it like the trap, if you see the trap, if it breaks lower and turns up, you're good to go. But I like the way this one took off. And you actually could have waited on a break above this bar and put your limit order here to see if it'd come back, and it did. Notice how it came back, and you could have gotten filled right there. Um, but I wouldn't have entered there above that bar. Um, I would have just watched this one. You might have waited on a break above this one and come back with a limit order, so I'll give that one a green one. But let me explain that a little more too. Um, this is really your signal bar, this red bar, and it's too bearish. You can't go long above that with a stop. So when this one ended, it's not super bullish because it's still got a little stem, but it closed in the upper 2/3 of the bar, so it's got a bullish slant. So what you might do is wait on prices to break above it and drop a limit order back here. Or actually wait on it to break above here and maybe put a limit order right in there somewhere. But I'd be more apt to put your limit order right back here where it originally started, and I don't think it would have come back and got you there though. So, but I know it would have come back and filled you. I think when it broke higher here, it did pull back. I can't remember because I was not trading then, but I was still kind of watching the charts. So I can't verify that one for sure came back. I'm just not positive, but that would be the way I'd want to enter it. I would wait on prices to break above this bar and then put my limit order right there and see if it came back. I wouldn't use a stop there. It's just too risky. And that's too bearish a bar. It's just not a very good setup. It's the first break of this trend line, so you figure we're going to get a retest. But it turns out that there's a bigger two-tiered channel in here. Turns out to be a spiking channel. So it didn't really matter either way, but you wouldn't have known that this early. You wouldn't have known that until this would have set your trend line right here, and it wouldn't have got confirmed until here. So, but anyway, then you pull back and you get a second entry long right at the EMA. Nice little bullish type reversal bar. I like that one. Quick, easy move. Once it pulled back here, it's too close to that high. You can't go long there. But when it comes back here, this is only a first entry. Plus, you don't really have that trend line. That kind of set it. I did like this one because look what happens. You pull up, you got a first entry. You pull back, you got a second entry. And it fails and turns up. And look at that big bullish reversal bar. When prices trade that low and turn and close and close almost on the very high, that's a big bar though. So you might want to get a limit order a little further back. It's relatively close to that high. You don't have a lot of room to play with. So you might have wanted to use a limit order here. Using a stop is a little bit iffy, but I still think there's enough room to scalp out before you get to that high. So I'm okay with a stop, although I'd prefer to try to be a little more conservative and use a limit order. But you'll miss some trades that way. So you just have to understand that that's kind of a trade-off. But this is a trap here, and they trapped people. I really would have liked it better if it would have broke above on the same bar, and then I would have just had a stop right here ready to go. But it's still, you could have joined that one. You could have entered that one with a stop either way. But I would have liked it better if it traded lower and then turned and went right out that upper side, because it takes a lot of buying pressure to turn that big of a bearish bar that opens way up here and it trades all the way down here and then ends up moving all the way back and closing almost on its high. That takes some buying pressure, so you know there was some buying going on. And that's right at the 2 o'clock hour, so that's another reason to maybe use a limit order instead of a stop, just to be a little more conservative there. But that got you into the 2 o'clock hour, and that was it. But quite a few trades today, and you only needed to catch one or two of these big moves to make some really good money. So just remember that. And so when you get over here to these more iffy ones, especially late in the afternoon, just stay away from them. Try to get your, unless it's the only time you can trade. And I know there's some people that work and go to school, and they ask me about trading in the night, in the after hours markets and so forth, the overnight market. But I don't really recommend that because the volume is, you get too many moves like this. But if you catch those moves, they're great. But if you get on the wrong side of one of those, and you just have to sit there sometimes for hours to watch it go nowhere, and can't even get 4 ticks. So I just don't recommend trading it unless that's the only time you can trade. Then I'd be really careful because they get some exaggerated moves because the volume's real thin, and they can, these big traders can move the market relatively easy. So for that reason, and you may get some slippage too. So, but for that reason, I just prefer not to trade anything except regular hours. So, but that's really about it today. Again, we spent 90% of the day right up to the close in this trading range. So I just, if you look at not taking any trades after 2 o'clock, which is going to be right in there somewhere. I mean, we spent the whole day in a 10, 11, 12 point range. So we had a nice trend up and a nice trend down, and then another trend up. It was really pretty, that straightforward. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.